Hello, everyone. My name is Alex, and I work at Ford Motor Company right here in Miami. I'm here with my colleague, Liz Fishback, who works for the technology company Argo AI. Both Ford and Argo AI work really closely together on the project that we're here to talk to you about. It's our pleasure to be here at Miami Make Week. Thank you to the folks of Maker Faire Miami for having us. We're really excited to be here today to talk to you about self-driving vehicles or autonomous vehicles, or AVs, as they're otherwise referred to, and talking about what we're doing right here in Miami and why Miami holds a pretty special place in our hearts. On the next slide for today's agenda, we're going to walk through a few different things. First, we'll talk about who we are, both at Ford and at Argo AI, and how the two companies are working together. We'll do an overview of what a self-driving vehicle or an AV is. We'll talk about how a self-driving vehicle operates. We'll talk about how Ford is going to be applying that technology and creating a self-driving service. We'll talk about how you someday might be able to pursue a career in the field. And finally, we'll talk about how you can learn more and stay connected with what we're up to. So let's set the stage on the next slide. And let's go ahead and jump into the next slide. So Ford is going to be launching a self-driving service that will be moving people and moving goods in Miami. So this won't be, when we say self-driving vehicles, these won't be vehicles that you can necessarily go purchase at a Ford dealership like a traditional Ford or Lincoln vehicle. This is going to be a service. So think about, a service that functions a lot like an on-demand ride-hailing service, where using an app, you're able to, call upon a vehicle to get from point A to point B, or, to get your food or groceries delivered, for example. So we're building a business locally right here in Miami and testing that technology with our partners at Argo AI. Before we dig into that self-driving future, I want to take a step back and talk about our history and about why Ford is working with Argo AI. On the next slide, let's start with some history about the Ford Motor Company. So for 118 years, Ford Motor Company has been around, and you probably know us for making cars like the F-150, the big pickup truck, or the Ford Bronco, the adventure vehicle, or the Ford Mustang, the classic sports car. You may have also heard of Henry Ford, the famous American inventor. So back in 1896, our founder, Henry Ford, built the quadricycle, and it was his first attempt to build a gasoline-powered car. About 10 years later, he invented the Model T. And Henry Ford wanted the vehicle to be affordable and simple for people to operate. Fast forward to 1927, and Ford Motor Company became the largest manufacturer of cars. Our cars have evolved since Henry Ford's quadricycle, clearly, but that same passion is driving our company today to build new ways for people and goods to move, and self-driving vehicles is a big part of that picture. So we at Ford are developing our self-driving vehicles and self-driving services with our partners at Argo AI. I'm going to throw it over to my colleague Liz to give a brief intro on Argo.
Thanks, Alex. So Argo AI is the tech company, and we are building the self-driving system with the brains of the vehicle along with our partners at Ford. So we are helping it to drive, stop, react without a human driver, which is really important. We are focused on creating a trusted and natural driving experience by building the self-driving system we affectionately call the SDS. Together, we are combining auto engineering and AI to provide the safest experience. Argo AI is headquartered in Pittsburgh. We've got operations in Munich, and we've been partnered with Ford since 2017, and we've really enjoyed that relationship. And I enjoy working closely with Alex. So throw it back over to you.
Likewise, Liz, thank you for that. We're going to hear a lot more from Liz in a moment to talk about the incredible work that Argo does in Miami and elsewhere. But first, let's talk about our vehicles. So these are our self-driving cars pictured here. These are our test vehicles, a Fusion hybrid and our new Escape hybrid test vehicle. So Ford engineers have the experience of working on these vehicles every day and other vehicles. So they know how to integrate the technology so that everything works together seamlessly. So Ford engineers are researching and developing every minute detail that goes into making a vehicle capable of safely driving itself without human intervention. We want to make sure that the vehicles that you use one day are safe and that you trust them. And that's why our partnership with Argo is so important. Our team is on the road daily to continue to teach the quote unquote the brains of the vehicle to be as smart as possible and behave even better than a human driver who can get easily distracted. Perhaps you've already seen one of our test vehicles driving around in your neighborhood in Miami. On the next slide, I'm going to show you a little bit of video because it's always better when you can see it in motion. So this is what our Fusion hybrid test vehicle looks like driving around Miami-Dade County. In this example, you can see a customer requesting the vehicle and hopping in to get taken to her destination. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the service and the business that we're building that folks in Miami will be able to use in the years to come. But I want you to imagine sort of what it will be like, you know, to hail a ride using an app to go to a friend's house or to go to a doctor's appointment, have your family's groceries delivered. You know, those are the sorts of possibilities that we're evaluating and testing. Miami-Dade is really, you know, in many ways our home base for a lot of this activity. You know, there's testing in a lot of cities, but Miami holds a pretty special place in our heart. We've been here for over 3 years now. So in this example, you can see the rider arrives at her destination and the vehicle is then on its way to go pick up its next passenger. In this example, you can see how the wheel turns on its own. You can see our test specialist in the vehicle for now. You can see the vehicle operating in you know, in complex areas, you know, in areas where there's pedestrians and bicyclists and lots of traffic. And, you know, it's really important that we learn how to operate in those areas and to do so safely and understand how to work alongside all the other folks that, you know, use the roads as well. All right. On the next slide. So yeah, we are building an entirely new business from the ground up. So this is complex. There's a lot of elements to this. There are numerous intricate pieces required that we're bringing together to create this service. It's one that, you know, can once again change how we move. So this includes not just the vehicles, but we need to think about, you know, how we manage this fleet of vehicles, how we create a great customer experience. We also want to think about existing transportation systems and local businesses and pedestrians and cyclists. We want to think about all that and bring it together in a way, you know, that makes sense for everyone. A key piece that we need to think about again is that self-driving technology itself, the, you know, the quote unquote, the brains of the vehicle. That's going to be super important for launching a safe and great experience for our customers. So I'm going to kick it back to Liz from Argo to dive more deeply into how our self-driving vehicles work. And then I'll come back to talk more about the business we're building.
Thanks, Alex. All right, so if we move on to the next slide, we'll start to talk about what self-driving means. So we're going to dive into a 101 there we go. So before we say self-driving, let's clarify what that means. What does the word self-driving mean? So we say self-driving, we say autonomous vehicles, and we use them interchangeably. They mean the same thing. So if you look at this graphic, the Society of Automotive Engineering, SAE, has various levels of automation, 1 through 5. We are focused on level 4 autonomy. That means that the vehicle is able to drive and perform all the tasks like a human driver would, but within a defined area within a city. There is nothing on the market like it today. There are no level 4 autonomous vehicles that you can buy, and that's what Ford and Argo AI are building. So if we move on, we'll take a look at our Ford and Argo AI test vehicles. So the next slide, please. So here's our newest vehicle, our Ford Hybrid Escape. We're very excited to be on this platform. To make vehicles capable of self-driving, we are making changes and modifying many parts of the vehicle while maintaining the safety quality of the vehicle. We have sensors all around that act like the vehicle's eyes, only better. And it helps us to understand the traffic around the vehicle, lane markings, road signs, important road infrastructure, and of course, pedestrians and cyclists. The vehicle also has a computing system that helps it make decisions. So we call this group of components the virtual driving system. You'll see on top of the vehicle, the kind of sensor suite, and the sensors include LiDAR, cameras, and radar. And that's all around the vehicle to help the vehicle see the world around it. So let's talk about LiDAR. LiDAR stands for light detection and range, which is a remote sensing method that uses light in the form of a pulsed laser to measure ranges in and around the vehicle. Algorithms running on a powerful computer are used to determine the traffic situation all around the vehicle and plan where to go next, just like you do when you drive a car. Highly detailed 3D definition maps, which are pre-mapped, are also used, and precise inertial measurement systems so that the self-driving car knows where it is in space, how it's moving within the context of its map data, and so it can safely localize itself in its surroundings. So this is the self-driving vehicle, and this is the escape. Next slide. Mapping. So before we test, we always map the roads where we are going to go. And we map the cities that we intend to test to build the self-driving systems and the knowledge of the area. So when we are in Miami, we are taking a look at the speed limits, traffic signals, interaction with road infrastructure. We don't just go out. We have to pre-map everything that we would test in autonomous mode. Next slide. Okay, so this shows you 4 steps, but it's really a cycle that never ends. Here's what we do before and as we get onto public roads. Development testing is the first step, right? And the first step that we do, anything we test is in a lab, from radar, camera, and LiDAR sensors to the computer hardware and the software running on it. Everything is individually tested. Then we test it as a system. The second step is simulation. We simulate our environments as small as a single street to as large as an entire city, which we then use to put virtual cars running our software to test their responses. The third step in this system is our closed course testing. We have a closed course up here in Pennsylvania, and our self-driving software passes simulation testing. We then take it to the private track that we staff with test engineers and test associates. And this closed course allows us to safely test the software as it behaves, to see how it behaves as it did in simulation. The last step is the public road portion of the testing. We've gone through all of these steps. We go back and we go forth. Like I said, it's a cycle. We want to make sure we are as safe as possible before we get onto public roads. So why do we test on public roads? It's not just to try out our software to see how it behaves. That's what closed track testing is for. It's because the world is more complicated than any simulation or a track could be, and real products have to be tested in the real world. So on this slide, I'm going to show you a video, and here's a short video to explain how our vehicles are able to see and move without a driver. So I'll let you take a look.
This is a test vehicle equipped with the Argo AI self-driving system. Argo technology is designed to make getting around cities safer, easier, and more enjoyable for everyone. You're about to see how. This scene was recorded on January 14, 2020 on one of our daily test drives. This is Liberty Avenue in the Bloomfield neighborhood of Pittsburgh, where our self-driving test vehicle is waiting to make a right turn. Our self-driving system is constantly gathering real-time data about what's going on around it, using overlapping information from cameras, LiDAR, and radar to gain a complete understanding of the world in 360 degrees. Behind us on the other side of the street, a cyclist is waiting to cross. Even from this far away, our technology detects the cyclist and actively tracks and predicts the ways it will likely move. So although the light has turned green, our self-driving system holds off. It knows it's not safe to turn yet. Instead, it waits for the cyclist to pass before completing the turn at a safe, comfortable distance. To learn more about Argo AI and our mission to build self-driving technology you can trust, visit us online at argo.ai.
Thanks for sharing that video. So it's really important to take a look at how Argo and Ford are able to bring safety to public roads. And that was a great example of how we were able to spot a cyclist a block away behind the car and help keep everyone on that road and in that intersection safe. So how do we test? We still have humans in the car right now. Our safety operators go through a rigorous interview and training process before they ever set foot in the vehicle. And right now we have 2 test specialists in every vehicle for each drive. So we have one in the left seat, our driver, who is behind the wheel, ready to take over at any time with eyes on the road. Our right seat, our co-driver, monitors the system's performances, what the car is seeing in the world around it, logs any issues, advises on any situation that may warrant the teammate taking control. There was a constant dialogue back and forth between the driver and the co-driver. Our vehicle operators are in the vehicle to log information given to our Argo AI engineering team and also engage or override the self-driving system in any situation at any time. Both specialists are alert and informed to emphasize safety and above all, safety while on our roads. Okay, so here's a picture of Argo AI and where we are in America, right? We are, as Alex said, we've been in Miami for about 3 years. We absolutely love being down in Miami. We're also in Palo Alto, we're in Austin, we're in Pittsburgh, we're in Detroit, and we're in DC. And so we bring these multiple cities to our collective portfolio because they bring to us a diverse set of complex scenarios, behaviors, and imagery that form the basis for which Argo can train the self-driving system. If you've ever driven in any 1 or 2 of these cities, you know that they're very different from each other. Next slide. And to that point, multi-city testing avoids overfitting. Not one size fits all in these cities. So we are building a system that feels natural, but in the context of each city. For example, you don't take a Pittsburgh left in Miami. So testing on highways will enable us to expand our service, but we're really focused on our urban cores across the country. So with the next slide, I am going to pass things back off to Alex, and he's going to let you know how Ford is applying the technology and how it can be used in the near future.
Awesome. Thank you, Liz. Yeah, so on the next slide, let's jump into that. So Ford is going to be launching self-driving services right here in Miami in 2022 for ride-hailing and delivery services. So what does that mean? So for ride-hailing, this is going to look similar to on-demand ride-hailing that you might be used to today, with companies such as Uber and Lyft, for example. Companies and services where you use an app to order a self-driving vehicle, and it comes to pick you up and drop you off where you need to go. For goods delivery, think about a service, for example, where a pizza gets delivered to you or groceries get delivered to you. But imagine if it came in a self-driving vehicle. So that's what our team is working on and thinking about is, what those services could look like. We're doing a lot of user experience research in Miami to understand those business models better. A lot of that work also includes building the perfect in-vehicle experience. So I'm going to show you 2 videos now. So one of them is a ride-hailing example, and the second is a delivery example. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide and start the first video. So this is an example of how a customer will be able to request a ride-hail trip from an app. The vehicle will then navigate to the customer on its own. The customer will be able to press the go button to say they're ready, and the vehicle will then navigate on its own. This is a view of what the vehicle is seeing. And you can see the wheel is turning on its own, and the pedals are being pressed on their own. For now, there's 2 test specialists in the vehicle at all times as we test, but we're looking forward to that day in a few years where, where the vehicles will be self-driving in Miami-Dade County. So this is an example of how the vehicle will operate in a delivery situation. So this is with our friends at Postmates. We tested a goods delivery situation. If you know me, I need my tacos every Tuesday. And so this partnership with Koyo Taco, you can see the employee from the store loads the vehicle with the customer's order. And the vehicle then proceeds on its way from the restaurant to go to its final destination. This was a research project that we did to understand the user experience and how customers felt about having their food delivered in a self-driving vehicle. So in this example, the customer is notified in the app that the vehicle is nearby. They type in their special code to identify themselves, and they retrieve their food. So this was all a test so that we can study and understand how people want to receive deliveries without a human present. So let's move up a couple slides now. We'll talk about why are we in Miami. So, why are we building a self-driving commercial service? So we believe that self-driving vehicles can move people and goods more safely, more efficiently, and more affordably in this self-driving future. I'm born and raised in Miami, and if you live in Miami, Miami is a really congested city, ranked at number 6. We believe that self-driving vehicles can improve safety and be part of the solution to reducing congestion and improving quality of life. We also believe it can enhance ride, hail, and delivery services, extending their availability. On the next slide, I'll talk about where we are today in Miami. So we're testing our self-driving vehicles today to build a robust self-driving system. We're continuing to build our team to support our operations. We have a sizable team down here, both on the Ford and the Argo AI side currently, and it's only going to grow. We're establishing facilities to support our current testing and our future business operations. We're conducting business pilots to build our customer experience for moving people and goods, our fleet operations, and our transportation as a service software. And we're listening. We want to make sure that we're putting the consumers and the customers of our services always in the center of the conversation. And so we're listening to the community, educating, the community in forums like this at Miami Make Week to educate about what we're doing and about, what's coming down the road. On the next slide, our goal overall is to make people's lives better, whether that's through providing a safe, equitable, trusted ride, or by making a delivery safely and on time. So now let's talk about pursuing a career in self-driving vehicles. So on the next slide, we need a variety of skills and bright minds to run our self-driving business. There's going to be a variety of jobs needed and many opportunities, including everything from marketing or design or even vehicle operations to customer care. Myself, I'm not an engineer per se, but I was able to be part of the team and being part of the solution here in Miami to talk about self-driving vehicles, be part of the education and helping the community understand it, which is a role I find just really, really exciting. On the next slide, we'll talk about STEM. It's never too early to start thinking about what you might want to do one day. It might seem like a long way off, but now's the time to explore. So we think STEM education is really important. Important that you continue to learn and find an area that interests you. So we have a few ways here where you can start exploring a career today in self-driving vehicles. So first one is muscling up your math skills. So math is the foundation for building self-driving vehicles. So take every math class you can in high school, especially linear algebra, calculus, probability, and statistics. Linear algebra is at the heart of how a self-driving car learns how to drive itself. Probability and statistics directly applies to building an AV system. Also learning to code and robotics. If your school has a robotics club, join it. A self-driving car is essentially a robot, so experience coding and building will be really, really valuable. Take online coding classes. There are a lot of different ways to start with that. You can take art classes. The interior of the vehicles are going to be completely redesigned for AVs, and designers will be highly sought after. And then open, the hood of the car. Try changing your oil or exploring your car under the hood. And make sure you ask the owner of the vehicle if it isn't yours. those are just some ideas. On the next slide, there are many paths when it comes to education. There are 4-year universities. You can also go to community college first, which is a path to a university. You can also take technical courses and classes. There are many great universities and community colleges, but here's a look at some top colleges that have a strong focus on robotics and engineering in Florida. There's also some universities outside of Florida with great engineering and robotics programs, including Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh and the University of Michigan, among many others. So on the next slide, I think we're just about ready to wrap up. We covered a lot, but that's definitely not the end of the story. We have we have 3 years under our belt now of testing this technology here in Miami-Dade, but there's an amazing journey still ahead of us. So we invite all of you to follow us and follow our updates and our developments. You can dive deeper and learn more at Ford's Medium site called Self-Driven, or Argo AI's blog called groundtruthautonomy.com. Both of those links are on the screen. You can also follow both Ford and Argo AI on Twitter. So with that said, on behalf of Liz and on behalf of both Ford and Argo AI, our absolute pleasure to be here at Miami Make Week. Thank you to Maker Faire Miami for having us. We look forward to continuing to engage with you all in the future. And we hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy participating in Miami Make Week. Thank you.